Says government priority remains focused on fighting corruption and securing the country as he receives new U.S. envoy. Information and Culture Minister describes as heartwarming and encouraging the determination of government to restore normalcy to the Northeast. And Nigeria joins the rest of the globe to mark World AIDS Day. Hello there, it's good to have you join us on NTA International News. I am Segun Lawale. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration's priority focus of securing the country, fighting corruption and salvaging the economy is not only unchangeable but achievable in spite of the prevailing challenges. The president stated this while receiving letters of credence from new ambassadors of the United States and the Kingdom of Morocco. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
This is the second time in 1 week a befitting diplomatic ceremony will be held in the State House to welcome new ambassadors posted to Nigeria. And for William Symington of the United States and Moha Tagma of the Kingdom of Morocco, this is the opportune time to formally assume official duties in Abuja. Receiving their letters of credence separately, President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated the new diplomats for their appointments, assuring them of Nigeria's willingness to improve bilateral relations with their countries. Speaking on the nation's fundamental problems being addressed by his administration, President Buhari said the security situation in the Northeast had improved significantly with the supply of hardware and military training support by the G7 countries. The culture of corruption, he also said, is being reversed with the support of well-meaning Nigerians who realized the depth of damage done to the country by the cankerworm. The president told the U.S. ambassador that the federal government is determined to continue the investigations and prosecution of corrupt persons in the country, saying Nigeria will either kill corruption or corruption will kill Nigeria in the long run. On the economy, he said years of mishandling of the nation's resources at a period of financial prosperity affected the economy, making it more challenging to create employment for the youth and improve the livelihood of Nigerians. As he puts it, it has not been easy for his administration to get things done properly with the new economic reality of $37 per barrel of oil as against the $100 before now. The U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, William Symington, promised to work hard to further strengthen the relations between Nigeria and his country, expressing the conviction that the president-elect, Donald Trump, will be interested in the well-being of Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has described as heartwarming and encouraging to the federal government's determination to restore normalcy in the northeastern part of the country through the support and assistance it is receiving from international agencies. He was speaking at a reception in honor of 8 directors from the United Nations humanitarian agencies who arrived in Nigeria on an on-the-spot assessment of humanitarian work ongoing in the northeast. Anthony Forsen reports.
The 8 directors from the United Nations different agencies arrived in Nigeria ahead of a fundraising to cater for the humanitarian needs in the Northeast and, most importantly, assess the level of support they have rendered so far and the impact it has made. By this, the delegation will be in a better position to aggregate the level of support they will be rendering subsequently. It is in the light of this that Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed attributes the gesture to the federal government's determination to return normalcy in the affected areas.
The crisis we are facing in the Northeast is actually a crisis of a global proportion. The government is determined, the government is passionate to not only address what we see as the immediate issues.
There are too many people suffering, and we in the international community, we must do more to help.
For Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development and Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, the coming of the United Nations directors is a wake-up call.
What is going on here is a very welcome development. We are happy that people that have been helping us have now come to us to ask us what we really need.
Because it means we will have the right level of intervention by these development partners.
Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima spoke emphatically on plans to make sure that all IDP camps in the state are closed.
The IDP camps all over are pregnant with lots of challenges, of early child marriages, of prostitution rings, of drug abuse, of gangsterism, of corruption. And for me, I am determined to close all the IDP camps by 29th May next year. We have to restore back the dignity of our people.
In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has joined the rest of the world to commemorate the 2016 HIV/AIDS Day with an appeal to leadership at all levels of commitment to the eradication of the disease. Speakers at the ceremony stressed for proper enlightenment and counseling. Basi Taipan reports.
Nigeria, with the second largest number of people living with HIV and AIDS, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria says all hands must be on deck to support government's efforts at strengthening the healthcare system.
We want to talk about three things: leadership, sustained commitment, the impact that we seek to make.
Other speakers at the event stressed the need for people living with HIV and AIDS to know that HIV and AIDS is no more a death sentence, as it could now be managed.
To live positively is to, first of all, to know your status. And once, if you turn out to be HIV positive, it's getting placed immediately on treatment. That treatment will improve and protect your own health. It will also, if you become virally suppressed because you adhere well to your treatment, will reduce your ability to transmit the disease to your partners.
Nigerian living with HIV, to recognize that, first of all, that you have the opportunity to live and to contribute and to be a productive member of this society. And
also, regular counseling and testing, and for victims to adhere strictly to their treatment was stressed. Basi Taikbang, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, says that it will continue to collaborate with organizations to educate and inform Nigerians on necessary steps needed to safeguard their lives. This was when the Executive Director News, Shola Atere, who represented the Director General, met with the Civil Society for Cancer Eradication. Adibola Brooklyn Sunday reports.
Data from the World Health Organization indicates that about 76 million people die from cancer-related cases worldwide every year, out of which 4 million people prematurely die between the ages of 30 and 65. As deadly as it is, this group says it can be prevented through lifestyle modification. It is for this reason that the group is seeking collaboration with the NTA as a key partner towards achieving the aim.
In Africa today, Nigeria is the most cancer-burden country, with a record of about 102,000 deaths annually, about 250,000 new cases. We know very well that if we are to make any headway anytime, any day, the NTA remains a strategic key partner.
But you need to embark on aggressive enlightenment to be able to help people, tackle this deadly ailment, managing it, and maybe if it can be avoided too, what people should be able to do.
Experts believe that 30% of cancer deaths could be prevented by avoiding risk factors such as tobacco, alcohol, and air pollution. In Abuja, Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
The acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has urged the judiciary to speed up trials of all cases of corruption before it, so as to make progress in the fight against corruption. He made the appeal during a courtesy visit to the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, to solicit the Navy's support for its new campaign strategy tagged Women Against Corruption, which is to be launched on the 7th of December by the wife of the president, Hajiya Aisha Buhari. Environmental hazard, which is detrimental to good health and reduced life expectancy of Nigerians, is of serious concern to experts. This was highlighted at the 2016 Nigerian National Order of Merit Recipients Lecture held in Abuja. NTA has details.
In his lecture titled The Configuration of Policy and Technical Systems for Improvement of Nigeria's Environmental Sustainability, Professor Hilary Iyang identified environmental pollution, genetic predisposition, diet, as well as physical and emotional stress as factors responsible in significant ways for the relatively retarded life expectancy, which stands at 54.5 years in Nigeria.
That, as we know globally, environmental degradation is implicated as one of the 4 factors in the well-being of an individual.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, represented by Permanent Secretary Special Duties, Dr. Amina Shamaki, examined global warming, emphasizing its collateral impact on Nigeria and the wider world. She observed that the award lecture was an imperative. The lecture is an important complement of the process for the conferment of the Nigerian National Order of Merit, the highest academic award in Nigeria. Ede Ago, NTA News.
The Nigerian engineers are competent, and if denied their roles in the scheme of national development, the profession should be blamed. This assertion was made by President Nigerian Society of Engineers, Otis Ayeji, while addressing journalists on the outcome of the just concluded African Conference on Energy. Science correspondent Kirian Umayo reports.
Some of the observations made during the conference include the inability of African nations to develop renewable energy despite huge resources and enormous energy demand in the continent, lack of human skills and infrastructural capacities, and investment on research and development required to improve efficiencies and bring down cost of renewable energy technologies.
Waste to energy are an area that has a lot of energy mix potential for Nigeria, but is yet to be developed. The conference therefore recommends that African governments should put in place policies, institutional, legal, and regulatory frameworks for development of waste to energy with incentives that will encourage research and investment.
On electricity, the conference recommended that regulatory bodies should strengthen their mechanisms for energy saving and efficiency in the market, while on oil and gas, the engineers believe in optimum utilization of existing refineries, establishment of ECOWAS energy hubs, and development of internal gas market to remove both commercial and regulating barriers. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
The King of Morocco, King Mohammed VII, is scheduled to pay a state visit to Nigeria on the 2nd of December 2016. As part of ceremonial activities for the visit, there will be a guard of honor and traditional firing of gun salute at the State House on 2nd December 2016. The Commander Guards Brigade, in a statement, said the general public, especially those living within Asokoro and its environs, are advised not to panic on hearing the sound of simulated firing of artillery guns during the parade. This is NTA International News from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. The news will continue in just a moment after the break.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me.
International news. Africa as it is.
Thanks for joining us again. The 2017 appropriation bill, soon to be presented to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari, will be passed in good time for implementation. The next Senate President Abubakar Bukola Saraki gave the assurance while speaking to State House correspondents after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. He said necessary consultations have already been made between the executive and the legislature in the preparation of the fiscal document.
Once the documents come to us, we are ready. I think this time round, a lot of work has taken place behind the scenes. Been a lot of more collaboration, and I think that you will see the result in the time frame to take after the president releases.
You have a resolution on the MTEP?
Well, that's still work in progress. I'm sure very soon that also will be concluded. But I'm very optimistic that this year's budget will be passed much sooner than what we saw in 2016. Well, I haven't seen the details yet until President lays it. Once President will...
How soon will that be?
Well, I'm sure within the next week, 10 days, we'll probably get it.
After months of uncertainty for producers and consumers of crude oil following reduced prices and revenues, the global oil market, energy experts say, is about rebalancing. This assurance comes as OPEC agrees to cut its production by 1.2 million barrels daily and mobilizes non-OPEC producers to equally cut 600,000 to reduce the supply glut. Energy correspondent Awasaliu Adama examines this historic step by OPEC at its 171 meeting in Vienna.
Reacting to what it refers to as realities on ground and in the interest of producers and consumers, member nations of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries agreed to implement the Algiers Accord effective January 1, 2017.
Indications today already, before the announcement, is that the price has begun to rebalance. We expect this to trend the marketplace prices over and above the $60 a barrel price. It gives us time to get our house in order in terms of the Niger Delta crisis. Already production in Nigeria is closer to 1.9. We expect us to return back to forming that, but not to, again, flood the market as it were. All of us have a responsibility to contribute to the tightness of this market.
The agreement will run for an initial 6 months and reviewed for another half a year, monitored by a ministerial committee comprising Algeria, Kuwait, Venezuela and 2 non-OPEC countries, as well as the OPEC Secretariat. With close to a $10 trillion estimated oil-related investment in the upstream, midstream and downstream, the issue of a stable price regime for OPEC's oil remains a major worry, which the Secretariat of the Oil Cartel says it remains committed to.
Today's unity is a very explicit sign about the position of OPEC.
As Indonesia suspends its membership of the group, Conference President Dr. Mohammed bin Saleh Al Sada acknowledged the high-level consultations by the OPEC Secretary General Dr. Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo in advancing dialogue and cooperation amongst all producers, resulting in the commitment of an additional 600,000 barrels per day cut by key non-OPEC members, led by Russia. In Vienna, Austria, I'm Hawa Salihu Adama, NTA News.
And back home, Nigeria's foreign reserves rises for the first time in 15 months. This and more with Chezala Mekie on Business News.
It's good to have you join us on this segment. We begin with some cheering news. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria indicates that Nigeria's foreign exchange reserve have been on the rise for at least 24 days. It recorded a geometric increase in the last 4 weeks as it rose by $658 million in November alone. The increase now brings the stock of reserves to $24.57 billion as at November 24th. Meanwhile, the Statistician General of the Federation, Yemi Kale, says the National Bureau of Statistics will do a census of businesses, industries, and agricultural farmlands next year. This is to help capture the country's comprehensive gross domestic products. The Commission's helmsman noted that the exercise will be a follow-up to the rebasing of Nigeria's economy conducted in 2014. And oil prices and energy shares rose high Thursday after OPEC agreed to cut crude oil outputs to clear a glut. And just before we go, a quick check on closing figures on the Nigerian stock markets. That's the package at this time. I am Chiazala Mekie. The news continues. Please stay with us.
Thank you, Chiazalam. Towards repositioning the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, a one-day meeting has been held to further reorganize the Directorate of Administration for effective performance. The conference focused on service delivery, discipline in workforce, and a renewal of participants' performance capability. Oku Ekpeyo reports.
Updated staff records and a careful application of extant rules came to fore at the Conference of Heads of Administration of the Nigerian Television Authority from across the country. Discussion of participants also centered on matters on how to position the administration arm for strict adherence to service delivery if the objectives of Africa's largest television network, the NTA, is to be achieved.
I mean, like the DG rightly put it, as the oil that makes sure the binds almost all other directorates as it were, because if you don't have a base properly prepared for the core operatives as it were, definitely their performance will be suboptimal.
If administrators are not properly kitted, if administrators are not properly refreshed, if they are not properly reminded of this, the tendency is there for them to be overtaken by the emerging circumstances.
Participants acknowledged a new drive of excellence in service delivery.
I hope that this will be more regular. It won't be a one-year thing. It should be biannually or quarterly.
I am better informed. Fair and firm decision will be taken to all.
They were challenged on harmonious working relationship among colleagues for optimum performance and productivity for the overall good of the NTA and the country in general. Oku Ekpeyong, NTA News.
The establishment of the Diaspora Commission, Diaspora Data Bank, and Diaspora Voting Rights, as well as remittances, are issues as stakeholders converge in Abuja to validate the national policy on diaspora matters. Gabriel Odo reports that the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Matters is facilitating the validation.
The national policy on diaspora matters has been on for 16 years, but lacks the institutional framework and capacity for implementation. It becomes therefore expedient that the multi-stakeholders validation will ensure its workability. But then, let's hear from Abike Dabri Erewa.
It's about Nigerians abroad and Nigerians at home working together to achieve true greatness. If other countries have done it, what is stopping us?
The principal objective of the policy is to effectively leverage on the resources and technological knowledge of Nigerians in the diaspora.
Once we're able to tackle the challenges of infrastructure, of power, for example, of the economy in a manner that will be able to absorb some of the investment and potentials and capacities of the diaspora, that will make the country more attractive to them.
With over $21 billion in remittances to the Nigerian economy from the diaspora in 2015 and an expected rise in 2016, some diasporans say concerns must be addressed. Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
Time to join Kene Magbudike for latest in the world of sports.
South Africa's Banyana are set to lock horns with the Black Wings of Ghana at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium, Yaoundé, Cameroon, Friday in the third-place match of the ongoing Africa Women's Cup of Nations. The South Africans, who lost by a lone goal to Nigeria in Tuesday's semi-final, are bidding to avoid a repeat of the 2014 edition in Namibia, where they finished fourth. Ghana, who are yet to win a major trophy in Africa Women's football, are equally hoping to end the drought with bronze in Friday's game. Taekwondists at a three-day collaborative competitive session in Zaria between Team Chika Chukwumerije Sports Foundation (CCSF) and Team Ahmadu Bello University have called for the provision of modern facilities and training programs to aid the growth of Taekwondo in the country. A total of 27 athletes competed in the session, with Team CCSF winning 8 out of 12 bouts. Thousands of mourners converged on the Chapecos Arena Conda Stadium Tuesday for a vigil in honor of the victims of a plane crash in Colombia Monday, who included most of the city's football team. Brazil has begun 3 days of official mourning, while minute silences have been held at football grounds around the world. With Sports Update, Kenan Imabodike, NTA News.